Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. I'm your host, Jake Gardner, alongside my brother, Zach.
What's up, everybody?
It's late as heck, but he's here. And we're going to go over Week 8 recap, Week 9 prep for basketball. And, trades, guys to grab, key injury news, so let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Surprise of the week, I only had 4 this week. Brandon Ingram, 46.7 average in the past 7 days. And it's just nice to see him coming back to all-star form instead of, I don't know, it's not like he started the season out of shape, but he wasn't putting up those numbers. He looked like the Brandon Ingram from like 3 years ago. So it's nice to see, and then now they're starting to get some wins because of it, because he's their leader. So
Okay.
Kelly Oubre Jr., 46.1 average in the last 7. He just keeps going, man.
Yikes.
I mean, he's great, per minute if he's getting the minutes. It's not like he's a good plus-minus player for the win percentage, but for fantasy purposes, he's great when he gets these minutes. We saw it in the Suns 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's doing this while LaMelo is out and Scary Terry, so, ride him while he's hot. We'll talk about him more later.
Okay.
Kyle Lowry, 40.4 average in the last 7. He's taken over for the injured Heat because Jimmy Butler's been out a bit now, and Bam Adebayo's out for a month and a half. So he's kind of becoming the lead guard and looking like the Raptors' Kyle Lowry. This is a really good average, so hopefully he can keep it up. And then Karis LeVert finally heating up. We talked about him last week as a buy low. Now that window might be closed. And also, and we'll still talk about him as a trade target, but he might be traded. Indiana's about to blow it up. So I'd still try to trade for him, but he looks really good this week, 37.1 average.
Okay.
And we know he's a stud. I mean, we've seen it happen several years when he gets in the right mindset, I guess, and he gets the minutes.
Yeah.
Top storylines. Cleveland was getting really hot, and they're the number 5 seed in the East. And they just have a lot of talent there, especially with the rookie going off. Probably going to get Rookie of the Year, I'm pretty sure. I mean, as long as he stays healthy. And Evan Mobley. So, do you think they could be a scary playoff team? Could they stick with the 5 seed? Could they pass the Bulls for the 4 seed? Or the 3 seed?
I don't know about that, but I think they're a playoff team. But I think the Bulls, when healthy, are still much better.
For sure. Yeah, no, they just look... they look really good, man. And I think they could definitely keep the 5 seed. Just looking at the standings, I don't really see who could pass them. I mean, Charlotte, when they get everybody back, they can make a run. The 76ers just don't look dominant like they have in the past, especially without Ben Simmons. So, I don't know. I definitely think they could steal that from the 76ers. And the Wizards aren't like anything special. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. And the Hawks and the Celtics and the Knicks, all people we thought would be playoff teams, all teams, they're just not doing it this year. They're struggling. They're 500 or lower, so
Yeah.
we'll see. A lot of season left, but I'm pretty happy with how Cleveland's doing.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Lakers? I mean, I think I know, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, as much as I think it's hilarious.
Yes, a lot of fans are blaming Anthony Davis. Do you think that has any precedent?
Well, I mean, now we're seeing for multiple seasons now Anthony Davis on a team that actually has potential, like a team that's expected, has expectations.
Yeah.
There's a lot more pressure, and I don't know. I don't. So far, he hasn't really lived up to it.
People are saying he looks lazy on the court, like he's kind of more worried about getting injured than playing hard, or he just doesn't care that much. You know what I mean? That's the talk. I'm not saying
he already has a championship. He's making millions, making a ton of money. I mean, maybe he doesn't care as much now that he got a title.
Yeah, but
I don't
he's
know.
also
That would still be surprising to me because I don't think that he strikes me as a guy that's like that. But
Yeah, so all these people are kind of talking down on Anthony Davis and whatnot. Of course, it's not LeBron James's fault, but we've heard that for 12
Absolutely not.
years.
Never. Yeah.
But I think the bigger problem isn't the star players. I think it's what we talked about this in the beginning of the year is
They
that they have
traded
no
away all their
shooters.
depth. Yeah.
They have no shooters. They have no
Yeah, their best
three-point
shooter is what,
shooters.
Malik Monk?
I think so. Yeah,
I
and
mean, yeah, that tells you all you need to know right there, right?
they've been playing him more too, just to get those shots, and he's been doing decent too. But
Yeah.
they need to trade for a shooter to turn this thing around.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you put Westbrook, LeBron, and AD all together, and nobody can shoot threes that well. It's like
What you could do is they could make trades. They could go out, they could trade for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and
Julius Randle,
Julius Randle. They could maybe get
Jordan Clarkson.
Alex Caruso, Jordan Clarkson. I think those would be fantastic moves that they could make. Those would, I mean.
No, swindling the
those,
league.
Those are guys they traded away.
To get Anthony Davis in a trade, that's how you do it.
Yeah. No.
But, I don't know, man. They're going to make a move, though. I mean, it's LeBron James in LA at the end of his peak. I mean, you still got to say he's in his peak. He still looks really good out there.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make some moves. He wants to get one more, at least. So we'll see something happen near the trade deadline. What is going on with the Celtics?
I don't know, man. They're kind of doing the same thing they did last year.
They're even worse than last year.
I'm kind of shocked because I thought Tatum was going to carry them, and I thought they were going to be like a top 5 seed.
He is carrying,
but he's like the only one doing anything.
But and with Jalen Brown, who's been out at least, if not more than half the season so far, and games played, it's like, I mean, that really hurts them because they're building around those two. Like, it used to be just a really deep team that had Gordon Hayward, Kyrie along those two, and Al Horford more in his prime.
Yeah.
And then they made moves to make Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown the two stars. And now it's kind of catching up. And then the center hasn't really broken out yet either. Robert Williams, they were expecting him to be a lot better. So
he's been good defensively, not so much offensively, right?
Yeah, he's had really good games and then some duds. So it's just consistency.
Right.
And they've had injuries, but every team, I think, is dealing with injuries and then COVID, so I don't know if that's really an excuse.
Yeah.
For everybody. But I don't know. I think they could still be a playoff team. They're not in as of right now. Let me make sure on that. They're the 10th seed, but they're right there.
Okay.
But it's going to be really hard because the East is a lot more competitive than it has been the past 10 years.
Right.
This looks the most competitive in a while. But anyway, what is going on with the Mavericks? Last storyline, because they used to be the top. What carried them the past couple of years is they were the top offense in the league, if not top 3. And now they don't. Yeah. They just don't have that. I don't even know what to call it. That factor, that X factor, and they're not going off on offense. And we always knew they weren't that good on defense. So now it's kind of catching up with them. If they're not popping off. Teams can beat them. They can score right with them, and then if they don't play defense, they're going to beat you in the fourth. So
I heard rumors of maybe them trying to get Ben Simmons.
Well, they need him, and I mean, at the end of last year, people were unhappy with Porzingis and kind of calling him out from the playoff performance. And
I feel like that would be a great move because Ben Simmons could handle point guard, and Doncic could just play off the ball, and I think he would do better.
They're not going to take Doncic off the ball.
You don't think so? Because why would you get Ben Simmons then? Because that's all Ben Simmons does. He doesn't shoot.
He would be the power forward.
Oh, okay.
He'd be like if they could keep Porzingis, they'd play those two next to each other, and Ben Simmons would cover the defense because he's a really good defender.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean, we'll see how that would work if they could do something like that, but I think that would be a great fit for Simmons.
Yeah, a lot of teams are actually kind of talking about him now. They're trying to get him. So I think something's going to happen. And that's going to make Bree's fantasy team actually scary.
What if the Bulls get him?
I really don't see it at this point. We'd have to give up too much. Philly's asking for a lot.
They'd probably give up Patrick Williams for sure, right?
you'd give up the farm to not lose this core, yeah.
Yeah.
But that would say, at what cost? I mean,
yeah. But I mean, you get Ben Simmons, who's also young. You could handle losing Patrick Williams.
He's young, but he has a lot of injury history as well. Doesn't want to shoot. I'm not even going to say can't because it's like he's not even practiced.
Yeah.
If he just would put in the work in the offseason, he could be a great shooter. But
okay,
I don't know, man. Like you said, if he wants to bring it down the floor, we're not letting him do that here in the Bulls. He would have to be the power forward.
Right. Well, we'd be making him. I'm just saying that because you said he'd play power forward, so I was like, okay, the Bulls maybe. But
yeah, I just feel like with his, I don't know, getting offended easily with teammates calling him out for bad performances or something. The Bulls are like a really good team who like they'll hold each other accountable. So
right.
I don't know if he would fit here.
Gotcha.
Anyway, let's go into injury news.
Yes.
Jeremy Grant, this is the biggest one, has suffered torn ligaments in his right thumb and will be out indefinitely. And that was the leader of that team. Not that it was a good team, but especially in fantasy, he's the huge usage leader.
Yeah.
Besides the rookie, I mean, Cade Cunningham's great. But this opens up room for a couple other players we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Sharon Jackson knee will miss one game at least. I haven't read anything that it's serious. I saw you wrote something. Is it serious?
Yeah,
Did you read something else?
No, I was just wanting in Zach's concerns to see if it was anything, if you heard anything else, because I know that they don't always update the ESPN doesn't give you like basketball, at least doesn't give you like the best news.
Yeah, so. I'll check my other site real quick.
But we can wait for Zach's concerns for that.
Yeah.
We can go on to the other injuries.
Doncic ankle will miss Sunday's game. Yeah, that's another thing people were complaining about with Doncic is that he came in from the offseason fat and out of shape. Well, and then Doncic kind of admitted that after the Olympics, he kind of let himself go. So
nice.
I don't know. I think that does have a lot to do with these injuries, though, because then you're playing yourself into shape and you're exerting extra effort because you're not in shape, you know?
Yeah.
And that's going to cause these leg injuries, especially. You see it all the time with these guys. So
yeah, especially playing on the hardwood floor like that. I mean, these guys need to be smarter for sure.
Yeah, and he's been missing like games here and there all season so far. James Harden rest will miss Sunday's game. Jalen Brown hamstring has missed the past 5 games. So like we said, he's just been in and out, but it's not like 1 game increments. It's 5 to 10 games for Brown.
Okay.
Terry Rozier still in COVID protocols. Will Barton illness will miss Saturday's game. Kyle Kuzma COVID just entered health and safety protocols. So yeah, it's starting to really go around the league, just like we saw it happen in hockey starting last week or 2 weeks ago. And now it's really hitting the NBA. So because RJ Barrett, like as we were recording this morning hockey, he just got put in health and safety protocols. So that's another one. Rashawn Holmes, I expected to miss 2 games.
Jesus.
Brooke Lopez back, underwent surgery. So before this, they were trying to avoid surgery. And for fantasy purposes, he was averaging around 26, so you probably stashed him. But now he's kind of a drop after undergoing surgery, and they waited on it. So PJ Washington illness missed Saturday's game, but it's non-COVID related, I believe.
Yeah.
Steven Adams left Saturday's game and will not return with an ankle sprain. So it's probably a deeper league guy that you might have been holding.
Okay.
And then another long-term injury, TJ McConnell wrist. He's in a cast and will remain in it for the next 10 to 12 weeks. So
he was doing good too. He's like one of my favorite streaming options.
Yeah, he's always been a great stream. It's not like anyone's holding him unless there's an injury. But yeah, he's a drop at this point. All right, let's go into trade targets. So I basically have a lot from last week that are the same because they didn't really, these players basically stayed the same. And I think these are the names to go for. And especially this one, though, there's a little more news with, for Isaiah Stewart, with Jeremy Grant out. I think this is where he really takes over for the team as the big man. He hadn't really done it yet, and he was playing next to Jeremy Grant, who's the power forward and the more talented, older, seniored player. So I think Isaiah Stewart is a great trade target. He's only averaging around 23, which isn't good. So
Yeah.
Probably get him for a guy that's riding hot right now, and I think he could get up above 30, especially with Jeremy out indefinitely. It's going to open up a lot of room. And it's
Okay.
such a young, bad team that they're just going to be playing these young guys, 35 minutes a night.
Right.
Him, Cade Cunningham, and Sadiq Bey. Those would be like the main three, I think, going forward. So
Gotcha.
Damian Lillard with the abdomen, and I think he could potentially be traded. And that would re-motivate him, like crazy to go all in and probably play through the injury more.
Right.
Lillard did say that playing in Sunday's game against the Timberwolves is on the table, so he could be back tonight. But we'll see. But anyway, still a trade target, and people might have been worried about the abdomen, and still are because he's been playing with it for years, and now it's kind of finally been peaking. But I would still try to get him. He's supposed to be a top 10 player. And then same with this next guy, Bradley Beal, who I have typed out twice for some reason. But he basically had another mediocre week, and he should be plus 45 average, and that was just another very average week. I don't know if he's just trying to involve his teammates more and just be a good team guy, but this isn't like it wasn't his best year with Westbrook. Like the year before that, he also had a great year, high usage year. So it's not Westbrook effect. I don't really know what's going on. He's starting to improve his shot. He's starting to score more. So I think it's just a build up. So at least he was scoring more this week, but his steals are down too. Like he's usually a pretty good defender.
Yeah.
And then he also had 6 turnovers last game and 4 the game before that. So I don't know what he's doing, man. But I don't know if it's a mental thing, but he should be a lot better than this. He's probably the biggest buy low because he's got a lower average than Damian Lillard. And he was a top 10 draft pick. So see if you can throw something their way, like a guy. I mean, the guys like Jonas Valanciunas, right? You got him super late in the draft. He's averaging above 40, which is where Bradley Beal should be. So you could say he's overperforming a little bit. Maybe not necessarily Valanciunas, but a guy kind of around that range.
Okay.
Caris LeVert, so like we said above, he's going to be really hard to get because he finally had a good week. But he could also be traded to another team, which could be a positive or a negative. Like if it's a contender, he could be like a bench piece then and not be as good and stats would be taken away from him just with a bunch of good players. But it could be to a team that really needs him as a starter, and maybe he has the ball in his hands more instead of Malcolm Brogdon carrying it all the time. So, plus this team could stick together since basically Indiana, there's a rumor that spread around that they're going to blow up the team. Then all of a sudden, all the players started going off. So I think that lit a fire under them. Like, we're better than this. Let's see what we can do. Or they're just trying to increase their trade value. But whatever. Rashawn Holmes, man, he's still been struggling too. So I don't know. Like this week, a lot of players stayed around the same. That's why there wasn't a lot of surprises or anything. But yeah, Holmes is out with the eye injury. He'll be out 2 games. But he's had a bad couple weeks. I mean, he had 1 good game back from injury before that, and he's kind of declined since then. So I think he's a clear buy low. He's a 29.5 average right now. He could increase to around 33, 34.
Okay.
Might be an easier player to get as well. And then Spencer Dinwiddie, still struggling this season, but still a high upside guy. And the team is fighting for, they're in the playoffs right now. They're in the playoff run. So, 27.2 average on the year is not bad, but he should be above 30. So I say go for him. And then Nikola Vukovic, he just came out with like a public statement that he's really been letting down his teammates. He's never been in a slump like this before. So he's really beating himself up. I think it's more for the scoring. So he looks fine on rebounding and assists, but his scoring, before this, what last year was, and the year before was above 25 per game.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's at 15.2. So I think he's disappointed in himself and In fantasy, he's done as well. Right now he's a 37.3 average, and he's not even a top 10 center. And last year he was near 50, and he was like a top 10 player on the year. So
yeah,
he's a clear buy low. We know he's better. He's next to better teammates now, but he could play better than this, and he knows it. So I try to get him if you need a big man. Zach, you have any more buy lows?
No, I think that's a good list there.
Okay. Sell highs, man. Kelly Oubre. We've been talking about him. He might be worth even more though because of this huge week he just had.
Yeah.
I guess he's just kind of taken over as more of a point guard. I mean, don't quote me, but since both guards are out and Miles Bridges is bigger than him, PJ Washington is bigger than him.
They're playing a whole team of small forwards right now.
No, seriously. And I think they're using Kelly Oubre as a distributor because he's just stuffing the stat sheet. I don't know. We always knew, like we said, per minutes, if he gets the minutes, he can go off. And right now he's getting the last 3 games, 43 minutes, 41, 41. That's not sustainable, especially when the starters come back.
Right.
So this is like the biggest sell high. If you don't capitalize on this, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but you should try to go for a top 50 to 75 player right now that you know will stay there, that's going to have the usage all year in his team. I mean, I don't know, man. People might believe in the hype. You just gotta trade them before those guys are back, because they're not even hurt. It's COVID protocols.
Right.
So right when they come back, they're not going to be, playing 10, 15 minutes. They're going to be playing the regular minutes. They're just following the safety protocols. So, also, I wanted to talk about with you. Would you also sell high on Gordon Hayward and Miles Bridges because they also have increased usage? The biggest impact has obviously been Kelly Oubre, but you could see in their stats, Gordon Hayward and Miles Bridges are also putting up more numbers and look pretty dang good. And I think Miles Bridges is the number 2 on the team, so maybe not him, but Gordon Hayward is the number 3 or 4. You could say Scary Terry's better than him. So right now his numbers are up and inflated, and maybe you could get a higher ranked small forward if you're just looking for the same position, or because right now he's the number 4 small forward in a points league.
Okay.
Like, he looks really good, and I don't think he's going to stay the number 4. There's just too many good players, and he's also the past 3 games 40 minutes, 44 minutes, 41, 42.
Wow.
So all their stats are inflated right now. Would you try to trade him, Zach, if you had Hayward, or would you just want to keep the consistency of around a 30 average?
I think I would try and hold him because I feel like he does good no matter who is out there. He just kind of has his role, and he'll always keep that role. But I mean, if you could get a good trade for him, something that you thought was good, I mean, I would be down for it. But I wouldn't be really trying.
Yeah, you just got to know your value. We're not saying must trade.
Yeah.
Whenever we're talking about trades, but
okay.
I agree. It's going to be hard. It'd be harder to let one of them go. It's just with stats inflated right now, they are still a sell high.
Yeah.
Because they're performing above their usual range. Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, I wanted to go over them next because Clay is almost back. Mm-hmm. And these guys will take the biggest hit. Poole more than Wiggins. But Wiggins still is being treated as the number 2 scoring option right now.
Right.
And
well, he is.
Clay.
Yeah.
That'll be Clay when he's back, so then Wiggins will fall to 3.
Right.
And we know they play really good team ball, so you can own multiple guys on this team in fantasy, but it's going to take a hit, and I think I would try to get rid of Wiggins as well. What do you think?
I would agree with that. This is your chance to trade them for sure, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's not like he's some stud where he would keep up his defensive numbers because his steals are 0.8 and block 0.5. He's not some great rebounder or assister, so his value comes from points. And Clay's a better scorer, so it's just see what you can get. I mean, you might just, if nobody's going to trade with you, it is what it is, but see if there's any value you can get. Try to trade for one of the buy lows we talked about. If you could trade Wiggins for Holmes, that'd be amazing.
Yep.
And Jordan Poole, I mean, he's not as good as Wiggins. I mean, his average is near him. He might have to be like thrown in as a combo deal. You know what I mean? Or I would throw Jordan Poole for Isaiah Stewart right now with the injury to Jeremy Grant. You know?
Yeah.
I would throw that out there just to get a value for the rest of the season versus Jordan Poole is going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but let's unless you have more trades.
No, I think I'm good.
Scoops. Okay. So Cody Martin, like Zach said, a bunch of small forwards are playing for. God. Hold on, let me pull them up.
Charlotte.
Yeah, a bunch of guys are playing for Charlotte. He also is at 4. Dude, they must have nobody.
Yeah.
Must be a couple other players, like minor players, that are not playing because they're all above 40 minutes in the past 3 games. So they must literally only have 6 players in the rotation right now.
Yeah.
So luckily they're young, but yeah, he's a stream option.
He's definitely a stream because when guys start coming back, he's gonna fall off the map. But he'll help you get a win at least over this next week too.
Yeah, probably only the beginning of the week because LaMelo and Scary Terry will be back soon.
Okay.
It's gotta have been near 10 days. I mean, they went in a while ago, man. Unless they just really, maybe.
I feel like last week just was a long week. Yeah.
He went out last Saturday.
Okay.
LaMelo. So
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's coming near where they could be back. So try to stream any Charlotte guys beginning the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of guys we talked about the past week or past 2 weeks have not really been picked up in ESPN at least. So Jared Vanderbilt, he's still barely owned. He's the 4th option in Minnesota, but he's still really good. And he can always get you a double-double.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just his value. This one's a new one, though. Darius Baisley, he's dropped in a lot of leagues, including by me, because he's just been very inconsistent and kind of looks like a bust of a draft pick. Like, he doesn't look like he could last long in this league with this kind of play.
Okay.
But he's finally had a string of games together where he looks decent the past 3 games he's played. So he's a grab with upside because he's been talked about his upside for a couple of years. But just with caution, I mean, at the very least, he's a stream right now.
Okay.
He's putting together good numbers, and it looks like he's trying on defense. Like he has a lot of steals in the past 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really going to increase his value. Alec Burks is being dropped, even though he's still the starting point guard for the Knicks. And yes, the team is struggling, but they're going to right the ship sooner than later. Because there's a lot of talent in that team. Like they can't stay this bad.
Right.
They're like the 12th seed right now in the East. They're a lot better than that, so they're going to get it together. And this is a starting point guard where Thibodeau, you know how he is with the starters. He'll play them all 35 plus minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because his whole mindset is they earn that position, they get to play. So because of the high usage, you have to own Alec Burks right now. Another guy we've been talking about, Gafford, only 23% owned, and he's just rest of the season he could be a breakout guy. He's getting his average up near 25 now in points leagues,
mm-hmm.
and he's averaging 2 blocks per game. He just had 6 blocks against Detroit the other day. So
okay,
this guy could be the blocks leader on the year. He also had an 8 block game a couple weeks ago. So it's like
8 block game. My goodness.
Yeah, so he can get you a double-double, points and rebounds, and then he also throws in those defensive stats.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
I think he's a must-own player. And then Sadiq Bey, so he started really hot on the year, and they kind of fell off, but with Jeremy Grant out, like we said, I think this guy's a must-grab.
Okay.
So we know we already know, like we've seen him break out to where he can score and kind of lead a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why he fell off, or like if it was like a mental thing for him, because he's been playing still. And he's been getting minutes, but he's been inconsistent. But now's his chance to get 35 minutes a night, and he's going to get his points. I mean, he's only averaging 12.2 right now. He could easily get up to 18.
Yeah.
Literally, with that team having nobody left. I mean, and then we just did talk about Damian Lillard almost being back, but Dennis Smith Jr. and Inferne Simons, they were doing really well when the guards were out, and also CJ McCollum's out, which this happened after Dame was out, so we don't know how this is going to play out. But one of these guys is going to be the main guard next to Dame while Dame is still here, and that's more likely to be Simons. I put Dennis Smith on here because he's kind of filling in for Damian as the point guard, and he's been doing really well. So he's a stream tonight if Damian isn't back. But Simons, moving forward with CJ McCollum out indefinitely with a punctured lung, I think he's the main starting shooting guard.
Yeah.
And he's super athletic, and he'll play really well with Dame. So I think he's a must-grab as well. Now that he's about to be back, he was out actually a couple games, so nobody's really grabbed him. He's only 5% owned. But he's back. Grab him. Dwayne Deadman. We kind of know what he is. He's always been a stream option who can get you double-doubles, and he doesn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the injuries on the Heat, he's getting the minutes, and so he has the potential to have big double-double nights for you. He's going to have some duds too, but he's mostly a stream option. He just went off last night, though, against the Bulls, which sucks.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, that's kind of why I think Vukovic came out and said some shit, like blaming himself, because he's a lot better than Dwayne Deadman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of sad that Dwayne Deadman went off. But
yeah.
I see you put Luke Kennard on here.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because he's been consistent.
He's a very nice streaming option if you need a guy on the end, like a guy like maybe like the last player on your roster, just that you can keep streaming. He's a guy that you can put in when he plays, and he'll get you a nice like 25. If you really need that extra little bump in a close matchup. But other than that, I don't think he's a player that you want to pick up and hold. I think he's just a stream, but he's been doing well the last 2 weeks if you've done that strategy with him.
Yeah, plus Paul George is out now, so he's a great stream, him and Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Terrence Mann, I think, has the more upside for the year. But, Luke Kennard's a great stream right now for consistency because the last at least week or two, he's been averaging over 20. So if you're just looking to get 20 fantasy points one night and then drop a guy, I think Kennard's one of the best to grab.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert Jones is the starting power forward for New Orleans, and he kind of had a breakout game a couple days ago. And it's not like he's going to go off. Like, nobody's expecting him to go off, but still, he's got a starting position now. And Zion has had another setback on his foot. So this is another guy you can stream or grab for upside, but he's looking pretty good. Like, he can get you 25 fantasy points on a stream night.
Yeah.
And Terrence Mann might be one of the other big upside guys, because I think if he gets 35 or near 30 plus minutes a night, he can get you over 30 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
And his average is still 20.7, even with like the lackluster start to the year where he's had a couple nights where he's only getting 16 minutes. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? But we saw him break out at the end of last year. We know the talent's there. I think, and the Clippers have been struggling, so I think they need to change up their rotation, and he should be playing more next to Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what they do. I mean, I'm not the coach, but... And Dylan Brooks, I saw he's being dropped, and he's a 27.7 average in points leagues. And he's pretty low owned. Let me double check this. Real quick, 29.7% owned. So I don't really get why people were dropping him. I think he missed one game recently. Maybe that was why, and they just see him as a stream. But in a competitive league, he's worth a hold, and I don't know. I think this is a must-grab guy as well. It's not like this is an upside play like Gafford or Vanderbilt or Sadiq Bey, but he's kind of a floor guy.
Gotcha.
And then two of the top grabs we've been talking about the past 2 weeks, I just wanted to bring them back up. Franz Wagner and Desmond Bain. They're still under 50% owned, and they're going off for their respective teams in Orlando and oh god, the Grizzlies, dude. But Desmond Bain's basically like the lead guard now. I thought it would be the other 2 point guards, but he's been taken over.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And Wagner, I don't know what they're
Wagner.
Yeah.
Wagner. You mean Franz Wagner?
Yeah, Wagner. But he's a stud, dude. Have you looked at his stats?
Yeah, no, I know that guy. He's been doing well.
Well, you don't own him, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, man. Well, those are my scoops. Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, I do have a couple concerns.
Okay.
Is that Sharon Jackson Jr. injury serious?
Oh my god.
I'm just wondering.
No, it's just left knee soreness. I mean,
okay.
I'm sure they do scans on any big man's knee all the time, so I'm sure it's not anything else.
Gotcha.
So he's fine, dude. It's just like a game off.
Okay. And then Zion Williamson. I mean, what do you make of that crazy news?
The second setback
Had
on the foot.
a second setback on the foot. I mean, is he somebody you just drop? I mean, I'm not being serious with that, but like, he could be a drop. He could miss the season now. They might just hold him out.
He's a drop if you need the IR spot. Like if you just sustained a couple other injuries or some guys just entered COVID protocols and you need wins. I mean, this guy, it says he's likely to be shut down from basketball activities for the time being. So
yeah, that's never good.
2 weeks in a row of setbacks where he said his foot was really sore.
Yeah.
And it's surgically repaired. It's not good, man. It could be like a second surgery, worst case scenario. But
jeez.
And then people are saying they have doubts he'll even play this season.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Like, he'll just be a drop at that point, obviously.
I would be more hesitant. I would wait on more news. But if you literally needed, like your team's only 500 and you needed the IR spots for other guys, I would drop them.
Okay.
That's like the scenario. But
gotcha.
You have any other players concerns?
No, that's kind of it for me.
Okay. All right, good and bad schedules real quick. Tuesday, Thursday games for stream options. Brooklyn, Chicago, Detroit, New York, Phoenix, and Toronto. So try to stream guys on those teams to get your extra points this week. And then the only team with a 2-game week is Oklahoma City. So that sucks for any Shai Alexander owners. But yeah, that'll do it. We kind of had a quick episode, about 30 minutes. Hopefully that gave you a bunch of information and can help you with your week.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next week on the Garden of Sports.
Breaking up. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.